Hello, the Bruises Roos here. Welcome back to Golden Sandbox, the channel where I aim to push creativity to its limit in the sandbox that is Sea of Thieves. At the top of this video, I want to shout out Sea of Speed, who's the home to many of the Sea of Thieves speedrunners. While I appreciate all that's done, I felt that there was an element missing in the official speedrunning categories of Sea of Thieves. A category that allowed for players to interact and creatively dominate the sandbox the fastest. So, today I'm introducing a brand new, unofficial Sea of Thieves speedrunning category, the Sea of 7 Sinks. This category's goal is to sink your sloop as a solo 7 times as fast as possible. In creating the category, there were a few major roadblocks that I had to ultimately make decisions on. First off, how to handle the Blackscreen. After sinking one ship and moving on to the next, players would inevitably face a black screen, the speed of which is determined completely by the beefiness of the system running the game and the strength of the internet. So if anyone ever did want to compete against me, I didn't feel like it was fair for those to be determining factors in whether or not someone ultimately had a faster end time. In the end, I came up with 6 basic rules that address this major and other possible concerns. Rule number 1. Time starts as soon as you have control of your character. Rule number 2. You must sink your ship 7 times. Rule number 3. You must be on your ship when it sinks. No! Rule number 4. No scuttling. Rule number 5. Time ends when your 7th sink is complete. Rule number 6. All black screen times are taken off of the final time. Without further ado, here's an edit of one of my more successful runs at the Sea of 7 Sinks. I started at Galleon's Grave this time around. As soon as I had control of my character, I ran for my boat to pull up the anchor and get it moving. Outposts are typically going to be the first place you sink at, so the best strategy there I found was to just get your boat as close to sandbars and the sides as possible to get some higher tier holes in place. After getting those holes in, I'd aim to get a few more while also pulling my boat out far enough that when it did sink, it would be able to immediately go down and let me black screen quicker. Upon hearing the death bell of my ship, I'd run to the lower deck to wedge myself into a spot to black screen in, as quickly as possible to be taken to my next ship. My second ship spawned at the Sunken Grove. A key element of all of this would be knowing where kegs and cannons could typically be found, while also not spending too much time searching for kegs in case there wasn't one. Luckily for me in this case, there was a keg, so searching for one paid off. After kegging my own ship, I'd also acknowledge here that there was another keg on shore, so that if I did respawn at Sunken Grove, I'd be able to use it. In this case, and later on this run, when trying to black screen, I actually phased through my boat instead of black screening. Only time on the black screen gets removed at the end, so the longer that it takes for me to actually hit the black screen, be it through a worm or anything else, the longer my end time ends up. My process for trying to black screen is an area I feel could largely be improved upon and be done more consistently in the future. I ended up back at Galleon's for the 3rd sink, which I had followed pretty similarly to my original path. Galleon's has a lot of rocks that jet out, making the opportunity for holes a lot easier than most other outposts. My 4th spawn was luckily back at Sunken Grove, where I had seen the keg on shore earlier. That made this entire sink so quick. I just grabbed the keg, put it on, made yet another fast operation. This run brought me to Galleon's Grave for a 3rd time. Having just done it twice, I knew the technique of how to do it efficiently. Sink number 5 was complete. I glitched through my boat here as well, rather than black screening, and had stopped my timer earlier than expected, so my black screen time taken off the end would have to be slightly recalculated to take all this into consideration. My biggest victory on this run was my 6th sink. Earlier, I had picked up 10 cannonballs from one of my ships just in case I ended up specifically at Marauder's Arch. Now Marauder's Arch spawns your fresh ship right in range of a cannon. By the time my anchor was up, I was as good as sunk. It was brilliant. The whole thing was great. My last sink was where I felt I lost most of my time on this run. Having not ever spawned at Old Faithful throughout practicing the speedrun, I wasn't sure at first where I was. I also wasn't sure maybe there could be a keg behind me. So I made my way around the corner with some initial holes and just really rode close to the sandbar and shore. Cannons do exist here, and so there's the turret towers as well as cannons on the island itself. I'm not sure if any of them would have been more optimal or faster to get them to make the sink quicker. But there you have it. Once done, I tallied up my time on the black screen. So even though I have black screens on here as splits, those button presses are not always accurate. So for all of the runs, I would go through afterwards and add up the black screen time. In this case, the total time spent on the black screen was 3 minutes and 3 seconds, meaning that my final overall time was 15 minutes and 14 seconds. I hope that you enjoyed this concept. I think it was a ton of fun to do, and it's a run that I've enjoyed getting to figure out, and one that I don't feel is fully maximized at all to its fullest extent. I'm going to work with the Sea of Speed community to try and make an official run. But in the meantime, if you would like to take a stab at it, the rules and link to the splits are in the info section below. Well, I feel I had a good run here. There's so many areas of improvement, and I would love to see what others can creatively come up with to make this as efficient as possible.